Hey guys, this is Matt Numrich here, and today's video I want to go ahead and want to talk about something that I always like to kind of make sure people understand when they come in and start training with me, because I want them to understand why we do what we do. Today we're going to go ahead and we're going to cover the 3 reasons why people lose street fights. And I can go ahead and I can probably even stretch this out even a little bit more and talk about why people may even lose fights, maybe in the ring or through competitions or things like that. But today I really just want to focus on street fighting. When we talk about the 3 main reasons why people lose street fighting, the first reason is that they're caught outside of a range they know nothing about. So it's that boxer who gets taken down to the ground. It's that ground fighter who has to face off against a knife person. It's that weapons person who all of a sudden loses their weapon. Whatever it may be, they're taken out of the environment that they are very, very used to and that they excel in. All of a sudden they're put in a range where they really know nothing about. That's why it's so important that we make sure that we train in multi-ranges. And let me say something about multi-ranges, because a lot of times I get people to go ahead and say, yeah, you know what, I do hybrid training. I do ground fighting and I do stand-up, meaning I do Thai boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's great, okay? But remember, there's 5 different areas we talk about self-defense. There's kickboxing range, close quarters combat, ground fighting, weapons, and mass attack. You need training each one of those. And this is where this first reason really comes into play. Once again, if you have somebody who is great fighting one person but knows nothing about mass attack or multiple opponent defense, the person's going to be in trouble. Or if you have that person, let's say, who's an incredible ground fighter and all of a sudden has to face off against 2 people, well, guess what? They're going to be in trouble too. So the first reason that people lose fights is they're caught outside of a range that they know nothing about, okay? The second reason why people lose street fights is that they're just not fit, guys, okay? They're not conditioned. And I kind of chuckle about this a little bit, because every once in a while I'll get a student come into one of my academies and they're like, listen, I just want to learn self-defense. I just want to learn techniques. And although that's very, very important, what's also important is to make sure that we're conditioning while we're training. You see, listen, when I go ahead and I teach somebody, let's say, a self-defense move or a self-defense technique, I understand they can do it when they're well rested in a well-lit room, okay, when they have time, okay, to go ahead and rest on up, think about what they're doing and everything like that. I want to catch people off guard. I want people where their hearts are beating out of their chest, their legs are shaking a little bit, they're out of breath, then they have to do the technique. If you can go ahead and you can do your training and your technique under duress like that, that's a good way to know if what you're doing is making sense and is being trained in a realistic manner. The third reason why people go ahead and lose fights is what we call transitions. It's the transitions between, let's say, one range and another range. Now, this is something that's come to light a little bit more when you talk about MMA development. Mixed martial arts, once again, those guys have put so much into martial arts development and teaching so much about real fighting. So my hat's off to those people. And one of the things that they've really taught us is that you need to make sure that when you guys are transitioning from one range to another range, maybe when you're going from stand-up to ground fighting, or let's say stand-up to knife fighting or something like that, those transitions are done as quickly as possible. Now, why am I bringing this up? And more importantly, how can you train for this? You have to train with all ranges in one sparring match. Now, I know that's a lot to handle, okay? But literally, picture 2 people out there, let's say, in a training room, and they're training, and you have the instructor say kickboxing range, and they start working their kickboxing. Then all of a sudden, the instructor yells ground fighting. They go down to the ground. Maybe they yell stick fighting or weapons fighting or knife fighting. They have to scramble on up, find a weapon, and go ahead and defend themselves. Maybe they call another instructor or another student in on there, where now it's mass attack up against one of the practitioners. That is what I'm talking about right here. Can you transition quickly from one range to another range? Not just know what to do in each one of those ranges, but can you transition quickly? Because the person who can transition quickly, easily, and in the most fluid sense, those are the people who are going to have major advantage in a street fighting situation. So once again, in review, those 3 reasons are why people lose fights. One reason is people are caught into a range they know nothing about. Second thing is people are just unconditioned, and more importantly, they're unconditioned doing their martial arts techniques. And the third reason is transitions. They want to make sure, and you want to make sure, that you can go ahead and transition from one range to another range as quickly and easily as possible, because if you do so, you'll have a major advantage, because you will be able to go ahead and make the right, quickest decision first. Thanks so much, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.